Marfoogle News going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We're going to go over some quick stories here, including one very, very important one about Iran and a imminent attack, as some are calling it. But first off, I do want to tell you about a reminder that they're putting out about the Cascadia subduction zone. Scientists are warning that a 1,000-foot tall mega tsunami could potentially wipe a large chunk of America off the map if a strong enough earthquake hits a specific active fault line. Now, you guys all know this if you're watching my channel, but Alaska, Hawaii, and parts of mainland America's west coast are at risk if the Cascadia subduction zone goes off. Now, they're talking about a 1,000-foot tall mega tsunami. And this is something that, of course, years ago, I have talked about how the wave was going to be way bigger than they actually thought. And we're talking about from all the way from Canada all the way down to California. This is a massive, massive thing. And as it goes further and further and further, there's just more and more confirmation that this wave is going to be absolutely way bigger than they thought. And again, now they're saying that this recent study by Virginia Tech, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, says that there is a 15% chance of the magnitude 8.0 plus hitting the region within the next 15 years. Now, that percentage has gone up and up and up. They keep changing this percentage and they keep basically lowering the years. So a big, big warning to everybody on the West Coast. This is something that I care deeply about because I am on the West Coast. And everybody that has anybody that is living on the West Coast should know about it. And it is something that now, of course, has been covered into, now people don't even care about it. But once it happens, it's going to be worse than Boxing Day, worse than the Japan tsunami. It's going to be something that you will never forget where you are when it happens. But before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, so I actually did ask about the Liberty sale. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Liberty sale over at EMP Shield was started for just our Foogle fam. Now, that was part of a contest that we did, a giveaway. And then what ended up happening is that ended up getting open to the public. So that is why this is still available. People ask, well, why is the Liberty sale still going? This originally was for just our Foogle family, and then they ended up having success with it, so they opened it up to the public. So now it's been extended because it's actually going out to everybody now. So what the awesome part about this is, if you want to protect yourself against not only an EMP strike, but a Carrington-level event from the sun, again, you can actually do so not only with our $50 off per device, which is grandfathered in, but you can also get the Liberty sale of, again, one, you get $20 off on top of our $50. Two, you get $60 off plus $50 per device. That's $100 plus $100. That's $160. And then four, you actually get $200 plus $200 from us. So again, if you want to get it, again, one of the best times, and that is now open to the public. That's why it got extended. I ended up asking, why is this still going? Again, it was private to us and now it's public. So again, go over and check it out while it still lasts. Marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP, code MARF. 10 minutes and your car is protected. You can do it yourself. Red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, green to ground. You can also protect your generators, your home, your trucks, pretty much any device or vehicle that runs. All right. Let's go over to my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So Mexico uncovers this camp, and we'll call it that, unalive camp, as pressure on the president rises.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, this, we've heard the president there of Mexico say, that they're going to take care of things. They're going, they don't want America to come across the border or help out or do anything with the cartels. They're going to take care of them. But, what we're seeing now is, this type of camp, as we're calling it, has been discovered where it's just, it's getting really bad. Like it's another big black eye in the face of the Mexican government on whether or not they're able to even control this and take care of the problem that's going on there. And so I think that is going to lead towards a lot more pressure from the U.S., especially as we've seen the Navy ships that we've put down on both sides of the coast there to help with securing our border. With the amount of land that we have now annexed into the federal government so that our military can occupy it right along the southern border, and the number of troops that we've sent in, we have literally locked it down and sealed it off with our military, in addition to the CBP and others. So I think what we've talked about the fact that they're preparing drones to potentially strike, if not at least doing surveillance, but even potentially striking the cartels. And I think they're just waiting on either the go ahead or something bad to happen where they're not worried about the go ahead from the Mexican government. So this is going to get them a little closer.
They're saying that they have this under control, but yet that there's these mass graves. And it says that it's a constant battle with authorities. Everyone used to say there's no disappeared people in Colima. But, quote, we still haven't stopped finding those same people in groups of 40 or more, right? So they've actually said that they've found people essentially all the time. And this is something that does happen down there. Now, I know a few people that live down there. I went down to Bucerias and Sayulita for quite a while, actually. And during that time, our little town was protected by the local government and MPs, and they were basically at the city entrance the entire time. And we didn't really see anything really horrible happen, at least in our city. But we heard about a lot of stuff. And from that, I made a lot of friends. And some of these friends have said that you literally have people that just disappear. And what's funny is it ends up saying in here that, you would have narcos, these, officers that would basically just disappear. Nobody would ever hear from them again. And then you find, these groups of these hectares, these fields, and these big holes where you find them, but they kind of cover it up with dirt and throw the rug over it, right? So something like this has gone on for a very long time. Mexico. And this whole system, the whole system of people getting disappeared, this is part of the U.S. system. Understand that. The fact that all the stuff that's coming in, all of the bad juju that these people are on that are half fallen over at your local Walmart, that's part of this, right? The reason it gets over is not only the paid border patrol, but also the people that are sneaking over, digging holes under and coming in with all of this crazy, crazy stuff. So, and not to mention flying planes over, drones over, muling over and people. I mean, it's just crazy. And this is something that's part of our system. In fact, I think that, there's some in our government that probably think, how would it even work without this going on? There's communications between these groups and people in the government. So, yeah, it's a pretty scary thing to think about. All right, and then, Dex, let's talk about the U.S. intelligence suggests Israel plans to attack Iran's nuclear sites. This is a really freaky one. So they're saying imminent attack.
Yeah, certainly. The United States is reporting that the intelligence indicating that Israel is planning right now to attack Iran's nuclear facilities in a move that will now obviously complicate the diplomatic efforts that are going underway right now, trying to negotiate with Iran. But at the same time, as we reported, yesterday, Iran doesn't seem like they're in any position to think that those talks are even going to take them anywhere or get them anywhere. And they're holding some pretty strong, hard lines. So Trump and the team are much more optimistic, saying they think that they're going to reach a deal and they're going to have these conversations. But we all know that if the writing's on the wall that it's not happening, that war is going to break out. And we've got our equipment there, we've got aircraft carriers there, we've got the B2s and the B-52s there, and in Diego Garcia, and we're ready to strike, we being the U.S. in addition to Israel. So knowing that Israel's preparing and ready to go, we know they've been itching. They were going to launch a while back, and President Trump talked them off the wall and said, hey, I want to do this peace deal and see if we can get something better, and convince them not to strike. So I think that this is like their point. We're seeing a lot of activity coming out of Israel that's sort of like they're doing their own thing at this point. And this very well could be that. And it could be any time now.
Don't forget, too, they just said that there is most likely a full-scale civil conflict coming to Syria, right? This is all connected because Syria was essentially, in my opinion, an op. You had, of course, U.S. and Israel help basically drop all of these strikes onto Syria. And in coordination, and again, I don't know what else to call it. You had the same time that this group of militia ran by this blazer-wearing, CNN interviewing revolutionary take over this guy that was Al-Qaeda, but now that's when he was young. Get all of these interviews, get syndicated across all of the media, which usually that means sorry. And he ended up taking over Syria in 11 days. Don't, just forget about the whole thousands of airstrikes that went along in coordination with that, right? And then right after that, the U.S. drops all sanctions on Syria. Why would they do that? Well, you're not going to sanction yourself. You're not going to sanction the person you put in. Again, that's just my opinion. Well, now they're expecting a full-on civil conflict, which in my opinion is the people that were running it before and the people there, because they're not gone. They just got defeated. They are going to try to fight back, and they're organizing. They're getting together. Iran is probably paying for local militias and paying people to switch sides and everything else, and they're going to be fighting. Now, they say that Iran's at its weakest right now, so that gives a lot of reason for Iran to do this right now rather than after they get all pumped up again. A lot of money is going to be pumped into this, and remember, it's kind of crazy that, but right before all of this started going down, you had about 2 months ago, you had a rumor that Bagram had 72 flights of planes come in, including a flight with all of these CIA agents, right? You had CIA members in there, and they all popped in. This was, of course, rumor, and they said that Bagram most likely had these guys come in. Well, in past instances, when you have a bunch of CIA pop into Bagram, what they do is they go to the locals, they bring suitcases of massive amounts of cash, and they pay locals to do the fighting so that we don't have boots on the ground. You have their boots on the ground. You essentially have a bunch of cash go out. You pay whole militias a ton of money to essentially look like they're just having some sort of natural uprising. That's exactly what I think is happening right now. And the fact that they are telling us about, Marco Rubio said yesterday or the day before that there's going to be a full-scale conflict in Syria, that this is coordinated right alongside with Iran. And I think Iran knows that, and that's why Iran said, yeah, I don't believe that any of this is going to yield results. They're straight up telling us what's about to happen. What makes more logical sense? That this is going to all be peaceful and everybody's going to disarm their nukes and nobody's going to enrich? Or do you think it's going to be a war that ends up triggering everything else? From my viewpoint, it is the latter. All right, you guys, join us over on the next show. And in fact, the next show is very important tonight, especially with the news. Again, U.S. and NATO is preparing for war. They are even going further. And this ties into Syria. This ties into Iran. This ties into everything. If you look at what is happening now with NATO, it is lining up perfectly with a full-scale war happening right now with everybody. So follow us over there. You're going to see U.S. and NATO prepare for war. That's going to be the next show. You can just stay in chat. You'll be ported over. If you are watching the replay, all you have to do is click here. We'll see you over on Marfoogle TV, and we'll be covering the rest of the last 24 hours. So join us over there in just a minute. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.